welcome everybody to the Daily Space Weather. We're starting things out here at the 1600 angstroms view of the local yellow dwarf to see two sunspots and an active region north of the equator. I'm your host, Dan, aka smAsho, and thanks very much for everybody who's tuning in. We're going to look at all kinds of stuff. Movie suggestions, Dave Reubin's new website, and all kinds of stuff. So fasten your safety belts. We've got a coronal mass ejection. It's a little tiny diffuse one. It's pretty high speed. It's pretty Earth facing. And it's nothing to worry about. There is a plasma plume here that could release at some point. Something to keep an eye on throughout the rest of the day. And when I say eye on, I'm touching my face on purpose. And the pun is intentional, yes. If you're at home, folks, touch your face. It's therapeutic. All right. And let's look at HelioViewer here to show you the fields. And there you can see the fields faded from 171 angstroms. We've got animations of it too. Here's the animated version of the fields to give you some idea of if these sunspots are gaining or losing power. And they're looking fairly stable. Also, I would note that we've got a cycle 24 sunspot and a cycle 25 sunspot at the same time. And we can tell that not just from the latitude, but also because of the polarity. So, super obvious that it's a cycle 24 and a cycle 25 sunspot. And here's another view here. It's a great view here, 304 angstroms. That cycle 24 sunspot moving right into the Earth-facing zone. And let's face it, if we see interactions between those sunspots, we could see a significant coronal mass ejection. There's a whole bunch of plasma in between you and all of that activity there. Next, looking at 171 angstroms, my personal favorite view. And we've cropped this custom movie to include a coronal hole up there, actually. Also, there's a coronal hole right in this area. But the main features are obviously two sunspot groups, as well as a mildly active region up in the northeast. By the way, please take a moment to press like and subscribe on YouTube. Please share the content on your social media, as we have been stagnated at about 1,400 subscribers for, 18 months. Anyway, thanks to everybody who views the content. Please don't forget to visit the links here. We've got smAshomash.org, our Subscribe Star channel, our BitChute channel, and our Patreon page. So thanks everybody who's supporting us in various ways. Please go over and subscribe on BitChute and help to support alt tech, alternative tech, alt media, whatever you want to call it. BitChute censorship is not rampant over there, so there will be exclusive content, such as this one about hydroxychloroquine, which we put up on March 19th, the last day of winter, the day of the solstice. We're also on Twitter. We've got over 660 tweets over there, so perhaps check that out. And we always put exclusive content. In fact, I put up some memes about, hey, that's an awful nice government you have there. Be a shame if it shuts down, since it's a non-essential business, a nonsensical business. Now let's talk about our mission. Our mission contains 7 different premises. Number 3 is to connect and consult with media organizations, hence the creation of these videos and our collaborative efforts and all that other stuff that we're doing constantly, such as building websites and so on. Now, we are on Instagram, and I just want to give you a little bit of information about me. When I started raising, a lot of people say they're self-educated on the internet. A lot of people say they're geniuses, yada, yada, yada. Let me just read my post. I started raising a giant middle finger to the incompetent, bloated government around 1981. Back in 1981, I wished the government would vanish. At age 4, I asked, what are we doing here? My mom stated I was being enrolled in public school. Having learned to read at age 3 to avoid exactly that, I asked, what's the point of that? I specifically learned to read to avoid this nonsense. And she said, well, I'll go to jail if you don't go to school. And that's how I started becoming extremely skeptical and critical of the government. So for all of you libertarians out there who've been a libertarian for approximately 14 seconds, yeah. Also, have you seen the movie Rubber? Because I saw this while walking on a trail yesterday, and then I ran for my life right afterwards. We're also on Facebook. We've also got a page there in the groups called Entropy Busters, facebook.com/groups/Entropy Busters, or facebook.com/smAsho. We're also on Minds, the alternative social media, and the future of social media, as we've gone over 654,000 views over there. You won't be censored, you won't be shadow banned, you won't be deplatformed. You'll see all of your content that you're supposed to see based on your feed, and highly recommended, minds.com/smAsho. And hey, viewers, we need tokens, so please sign up and send me some tokens so that we can boost our posts and continue to grow at the rate we've been. Next, we're looking at 131 angstroms. This is one of the 2 wavelengths that takes 10 images per minute instead of only 2, along with 94 angstroms, specifically designed to cover sunspots and solar flares. We're going to zoom this in a little bit. There we go. Give you a little better image there of those active regions. And you can see a whole bunch of what we would call magnetic flux ropes, especially associated with sunspot 2760, which is the cycle 24 spot that's larger right near the equator. This one down here is sunspot 2761. And keep an eye on this area up here. It could become 2762 with 0 warning. That's 48 hours of activity there, courtesy of the SDO spacecraft. Next, we're going to talk cosmology. We're going to talk cosmology and hallucination and nonsense. So don't be a pearl clutcher. Be bold, be curious, and don't hallucinate like some people are. No, seriously, be bold, be curious. Don't be a pearl clutcher, and don't tell people when you can't explain your nonsense that, I don't want to talk to you anymore. Now let's talk about hallucination. Here's a great example of hallucination in astronomy. It's white dwarf J050051.85-093.054.9. Now, this is a ridiculous, silly, nonsensical sharticle, which is about the fact that, in order for this white dwarf to be only 0.3 solar masses, it must be part of a binary system with another white dwarf with which it will collide in a couple billion years. Well, wow. Thanks for the science. Such a brilliant, brilliant article. When it comes to the unseen companion of J0500-930, astronomers estimate it must have a mass of 0.3 solar masses. In general, the results indicate that the companion is a fainter white dwarf with a higher mass and lower effective temperature. Wow, talk about assumptions built on nonsense, built on other nonsense. This sharticle right here is crap. And so what they're saying is, in order for this white dwarf to be as low mass as it is, there must be another white dwarf there which we can't see because reasons, and with which it will collide in a few billion years because reasons. All of these ridiculous mental gymnastics are caused by the nuclear fusion dynamo model of the sun, and because stars are not widely understood at all, especially in mainstream cosmology, much less the electric universe. The good news is, folks, that stars are much more stable than both classical cosmologists and the electric universe theorists who are trying to get to a hypothesis to explain their BS. They're both completely incorrect, and the good news is that stars are much more stable than either of these modes of thinking would have you believe about stars. So don't hallucinate, folks. Please just try to look at observations and come up with reasonable explanations for them, instead of searching and searching through space for BS to prove your ridiculous theories. And remember, folks, extraordinary claims require extraordinary evidence. Let's talk about some extraordinary evidence. The Standard Model of the theory of everything is built upon Einstein's theory of gravity, which explicitly assumes the constancy of the laws of nature. If fundamental principles turn out to be only good approximations, the doors are open to some very exciting new ideas. Well, what am I talking about? The fact that physics is being rewritten. Here's a very interesting article on SciTech Daily, my favorite science publication overall, I'd say. It turns out that the universe is not isotropic. Now, some folks were looking at some quasars at an estimated distance of 13 billion light years, where classical cosmology believes that the universe is only 1 billion years old, and we saw some oddities, to say the least, in that when we pointed telescopes one way, we would see one effect on the light, and when we would point the telescope the other way, we'd see a completely different effect on the light, indicating that the universe is not isotropic, but more like a dipole, not to be confused with the cosmic microwave background. So anyway, read the article. I don't want to get too into it because it's a daily space weather, not a cosmology segment. But yeah, when I keep saying that physics itself is in the process of being rewritten, I'm not kidding, folks. And what it really comes down to is the appearance that when you look this way, the electromagnetic force appears to be one factor, and when you look this way, the electromagnetic force appears to be another factor. And there's a directional aspect to the way light behaves when traveling great distances across the universe. So have a read. Downright weird new findings suggest laws of nature not as constant as previously thought. And by the way, that's a huge affront to relativity, because if gravity is not isotropic throughout the universe, well, let's just say that's another reason to rewrite all of cosmology. Let's get back to data. KP index is down to 1, having reached a high of 3 once again. 10.7 centimeter radio flux is still at 69. I wouldn't be surprised to see that rise as we see sunspots. Here's where stuff is in the solar system. There's where stuff will be in 1 week. And let's take a look at the LASCO C3. We've got the third brightest object in the sky making an appearance there on screen right. That, my friends, appears to be Venus. So the third brightest object in the sky, folks, the sun, the moon, then Venus, showing up there on LASCO C3. And thanks to that viewer who let us know. We wouldn't have featured it otherwise. Next, we'll look at a sky chart. It's in-the-sky.org, where I go for my sky charts, as I'm always interested where Deneb is. I won't tell you why on this episode. Perhaps watch a previous one where I'll explain it. You should have Jupiter, Saturn, and Mars near the ecliptic if you've got a low horizon before sunrise, so perhaps go check that out. It's a cosmic pileup. Oh my God, oh my God. And we don't see really any X-rays, no significant X-ray flares happening, so no big photonic advancements happening on the sun, and we don't really see any big particle blasts either. That coronal mass ejection headed toward the Earth is pretty diffuse and won't really play much of a role, most likely. Next, looking at the real-time solar wind, we see the phi angle is currently dropping down. It's around 295 degrees. Solar wind density is still slightly higher than background levels here at 5.46. And some evidence of cosmic ray flux here, where we have some missing data there on the Discover craft. And solar wind speed, right around 400 kilometers a second right now. And next we'll look at the geospace magnetosphere movies. And we see a very equal pressure here around most of the planet. Allow me to vanish. And if you're viewing live, please leave a comment if you'd like us to make any changes. Even if you're viewing not live, if you're at the live premiere on YouTube or if you're viewing on BitChute, leave us a comment anyway. Anyway, there's 4 hours of data from that. Here's a little closer to home, looking at the ground geospace magnetic perturbations during this polar excursion, when we have 2 north poles and a south pole that's in the southern Indian Ocean instead of on the Antarctic continent closer to the geographic South Pole. And you can see where those perturbations are, both over the Canadian one not so much the Siberian one, and the South Pole as well. Here's the GOES magnetometer, which is continuing to be spiky. We're still solidly in the South Pole oriented portion of the current sheet, as the North Pole fields just sort of evaporated. So, and that has to do with those sunspots. I won't get into the magnetohydrodynamics of it, but there's the line of sight, the top view ecliptic plane field plot. The data is 1 hour and 37 minutes old. Keep in mind it can change at any time, but currently the current sheet is entirely South Pole polarity, at least in the Earth portion, and where stereo A and B are located. That South Pole field shown here in red. Next, we're going to look at the line of sight field plot, which shows the B field in blue. The B field, folks, is the field that goes through the magnet, and the green and the red are the polar fields, the solar poloidal fields. And you can see a little bit of a wobble on the left side of the B field there toward the end, and again, that has to do with the sunspot activity and the possibility that this region up here may become a sunspot. So keep an eye on that throughout the day, as well as the two existing sunspots. If that gets named, it'll be sunspot 2762. Electrons, we're in a bit of an electron deficit here. I'm surprised at how low the levels of electrons are, but again, we're still seeing significant proton density here, solar wind density, and so the electron levels are a little lower than we've been forecasting, and this will still jump up into warning levels here after all of this subsides. Here's the GOES electron flux, and it's actually still cratered there, and I believe that has to do with the solar wind density. So when that flatlines, when that gets lower and stays low for a while, we will get an electron storm, creating some satellite drag and GPS errors. Mark my words. Next, we'll look at the ionosphere. And it's still quite wobbly, folks. If you look at the timestamps, this is sort of all over the place right now. And we often see a very wobbly ionosphere when we have a very stable magnetosphere. Anyway, there's 6 hours of data courtesy of Bureau of Meteorology Australia. Looking pretty anomalous there on the nighttime side especially. Here's the latest image. And if you're wondering where the sun would be around this area, a little bit ahead of where you see these highest frequency portions of the ionosphere layers. Next, looking at windy.com for pressure maps. We're advancing this via the GFS forecast as we do daily, as we've got earthquake forecasters that view the content, and this is part of the reason why we cover this, because there does seem to be some correlation, at least according to Ben Davidson, between low pressure system anomalies and earthquakes. So I won't get into the atmospheric physics of it, but low pressure systems are associated with things like hurricanes, and we do see a correlation between hurricanes and earthquakes a bit, adding insult to injury sometimes for your natural disaster workload. Anyway, there's where we expect things to be via the GFS forecast tomorrow, Wednesday, April 29th, around 1300 Eastern Daylight Time. I'm located in Lehigh Valley, by the way, and again, thanks for all the new viewers out there viewing the content. We greatly appreciate your support. Next, we'll look at earthquakes, and we don't see anything over a 6 for the past 24 hours. A couple deep quakes here, such as this 4.6 at Tajikistan. It's at 137 kilometers. And just scrolling up here, scrolling up, here's a deep quake in western South America. That one came in at 1408 yesterday, and this one came in at 1657 yesterday, just a few hours later. That one even deeper, but at the same magnitude. It's at 243 kilometers and close by. So that's interesting. A couple deep quakes at Alaska of small magnitude, a 5.2 at Tonga, maybe the largest of the past 24. Here's a deep one at New Zealand. It's a 4.3 at 179.2 kilometers depth. Next, we'll look at volcanoes, courtesy of Volcano Discovery, a great website. Kluchovskoy, still erupting, producing a 22,000-foot ash plume. Mount Aso, flight level 7,000. Suwanosei Jima, flight level 5,000. Semaru, flight level 13,000. I believe that's an uptick at Semaru. Sporadic emissions at Popocatépetl. Sangay has dissipated rather. Revenador has dissipated, at least in satellite imagery. And Sabancaya, uptick there at Sabancaya as it's exploding, producing a 30,000-foot ash plume. Please do not attempt to pole vault the caldera. And we've moved on to the, oh my God. Oh my God, it's so scary. So scary. Thank you, son. I'll see you soon. Talking about COVID-19, aka the global pandemic. And what are you doing when you're locked down? Are you watching Dave Reubin on the Ben Shapiro Sunday Special, episode 92, which came out just 2 days ago? Well, now I love Dave Reubin, and he's highly involved in the world of censorship. Having formerly worked for the Young Turks, he tells a very interesting story about the racism and bigotry on the Young Turks. Let's play a little teaser here right from the beginning.
All the media has to do. You want to shut up Ben Shapiro? You want to stop scary Dave Reubin?
You want to stop scary SMASHO Mash and stop scary David Moriello and stop scary David Dubine and stop scary Ben Davidson by banning him from Twitter and stop Zero Hedge from banning them from Twitter. All you got to do, media organizations, all you got to do is change your behavior, tell the truth, stop attempting to put a political slant on everything you do in life, and prosper. Anyway, here's a clip from the middle. I'm just going to put a random clip up here.
Oh, we'll see. But, I just felt I had to put into practice the things that I'm always talking about.
And don't we all have to put into practice the things we were talking about regarding this coronavirus pandemic propagandistic nonsense? I had to put my money where my mouth was because I told everybody that my grocery store shopping procedure has only changed by order of the government. I still do this. I still prefer to do the same thing and not wear a mask because I recognize the danger of infectious diseases the whole time. And the overall environment, by the way, hasn't changed. So let's talk about Dave Reubin's new website here, locals.com. Now, what Dave Reubin has done is he's created an appropriate solution for the problems that he sees regarding censorship. And so this is a way to create an online network. And it's kind of like social media. You can have your own household, set your own rules. So you can have your own little Facebook microcosm where you can talk about whatever you want. And you can moderate everything. So we're going to set up an account over here eventually, probably in the next week. And so this is totally unvetted yet, but somehow I have a feeling that Mr. Reubin knows what he's doing. And we love Dave Reubin. He's super smart, and he's one of the best debaters that you'll hear. So yeah, check it out perhaps while you're sitting around bored, locals.com. And we'll be putting up a community over there as SMASHO Mash. So anyway, welcome to the Neo Renaissance. Have you been to smashomash.org? It's got links. You can head to the Smash forum. We have updated the coronavirus section because, hey, now I said to get the hell out of here. Jeez. We've updated the coronavirus section here today with a story from late yesterday about every state's plan for lifting the lockdown. So let us know what your experience is, what's going on, where you're located in the comments section. We're very interested to hear if you're doing civil disobedience and not obeying the lockdown requirements. Have you opened your business despite the government telling you to close it? Are you prepared to sue your state government? Are you ready to quit your job because of silly policies at your employer? Let us know. It's very interesting. And every state is all over the board here. Everybody's got completely different ideas about how to open their states back up. And, ultimately they shouldn't have been closed in the first place because closing down all businesses in your state is a perfect example of government overreach, something that I have been irritated by since I was 4 years old, as I stated earlier in the video. So I'm just going to let this scroll here for a quick moment as I vanish, so that all the states will scroll, and you can just pause and use our video as a resource instead of having to go to any of these websites. But if you want to go to ours, where we put up what we believe to be objective information about all of this stuff, smashomash.com/forum. There's all kinds of stuff about cosmology. We've even updated the section about the theory of everything because of that article that we shared earlier from SciTech Daily. So anyway, there's all 50 states in terms of what they'll be doing to reopen their economies. And let's get into movie recommendations. Thank you, Keebler. We watched most of Six String Samurai yesterday morning, and the final insane 5 minutes at the end. In a post-apocalyptic world of 1960s Nevada, a rock and roll samurai on his way to Las Vegas takes a young orphan boy under his protection as Death and his metalhead 3 horsemen chase after them. So this one, it looks like a Tarantino movie. It's got shades of Kill Bill and crazy over-the-top 1980s Japanese kung fu movies. Here are some photos, and it's got shades of Mad Max and all kinds of interesting and weird social commentary going on in it. Here's a communist rock band, and it's good times. It's totally over the top, insane nonsense. It's not it's ultra violent, but not gory, if that makes sense. So you won't be grossed out with this one. Also, I highly recommend you subscribe to Good, Bad, or Bad Bad, as we got the recommendation to watch this nonsense film, American Hunter, from Good, Bad, or Bad Bad. Here's a clip from American Hunter. Oh, I'm sorry. This is from Killpoint. Yesterday, we recommended American Hunter, and I want to watch this one here, Titanic 2. Good, Bad, or Bad Bad. So these guys are filtering through some terrible movies and trying to determine if they're good bad or bad bad. Here's one that's definitely good bad. This nonsense movie called Killpoint from 1984 is nothing but an ultra-violent 1980s insano fest full of completely over-the-top stunts where you wonder if extras were killed. Here's a little clip from Killpoint 1984 where they go visit a dead body.
The bruising is very, very severe around the throat here. Be interesting when we get inside.
It's weird. It looks like a documentary. It's a crazy, crazy movie. Totally free on YouTube, just like Six String Samurai is. So perhaps check that out when you're locked down. Let us know what you think of Killpoint 1984. It is hilarious. All right, I'm back to look at the jet streams as we get back to data here. Here's the Western jets. Here are the Western jets, I should say. Having been doing my best to be as grammatically appropriate as I can. Here are the Eastern jets, and I've blown the world up. Oh, I've blown the world up. Oh my goodness. Holy cripes. Holy son of a beehive. Holy cripes. Oh my God. Look at the meridional jet stream flow. And let's move on to look at water vapor maps for Europe and Africa. There's that data. And to quote data, I would gladly risk feeling bad at times if it also meant that I could taste my dessert. Now, I can taste my dessert, but data can't. For some reason, he can eat dessert and take poops. Did you know Data from Star Trek The Next Generation can take poops and grow facial hair? It's pretty weird, right? Anyway, here are the water vapor maps for Oceania and the Far East. Next, looking at lightning maps, we've got sporadic lightning all over the place. Sporadic lightning. We got, hey, Dallas. Hey, Decatur. Hey, Jacksboro. Hey, Runaway Bay. There's thunder rolling in. Check out lightningmaps.org when you hear thunder. Forecast thunder and swear to your foes that it's because Thor told you it was on the way. And tell your friends it was from lightningmaps.org. Can you forecast thunder? Anyway, here's the U.S. Doppler radar map. See some strong storms associated with that region there. We're not going to zoom in on it. Maybe on the water vapor map, let's see what's going on there. And there's a U.S. water vapor map. And we are so going to Central Texas. Not physically, just on the map. And look at those Hall current streamers all around that low pressure zone. That was some rapid rainfall. Look at how it gets wet and then it's suddenly dry in that region. That's only one thing, folks. Massive rainfall. So that atmospheric river dried up before it could even become a waterfall. Actually, it did become a waterfall. And all of that stuff is being held in and compressed by this dry massive air stripe right here. It looks like it's trying to move north, but it can't because there's massive air holding it back, causing some compression there near Dallas. And hey, Smash Team, thanks for tuning in. We don't mind if you don't leave comments, but we appreciate when you do, as it leads to more content and more interesting facts, figures, knowledge, and information for our viewers. We view the whole thing a collaborative effort, and that's why we call it the Smash Team. So again, please share on your social media. Please share our Patreon page, as for a few more days, all of our Patreon posts are not based on tiers. They are entirely public. Same deal with Subscribestar. And while we put up public posts on both of those sites regularly, normally they're all tier-based. So the 2 tiers on Patreon are $1 a month and $9.99 a month for our gold tier. And on Subscribestar, it's $3 a month. So perhaps consider those spots, and we will be putting up exclusive content in both locations starting May 1st. That will be back to tier-based. So if you want to get an idea of what the benefits would be, sign up now. And again, for another couple days here, you'll get all the posts for free. And don't forget to touch your face. I'm not going to apply hand lotion to my face today. Face lotion to my hand, or hand lotion to my face. Here's the intensity gram. First, we're going to look at sunspot 2761, which is right there. And it's looking pretty weak, although we do see an equilateral triangle here. So that's something for people to freak out about, you know, because shapes are scary. Here's sunspot 2760. And similar sized ombre there, not super well defined. And this active region up here, not a sunspot, no indication of any ombre there. I believe it's right in this area. I see some light spots, but no dark spots. So no 2762 yet. Here are the fields. We'll look at that area first. And there's, whoopsie, there's that active region. It's not looking that active. And there's sunspot 27. There's sunspot 2760 and sunspot 2761. Did I press refresh? I think I did. All right, there you go. There's the current state of affairs. And this one is actually beta class. This one here, I think, is just alpha class. So if we see any X-ray flares, we'd expect them to come out of this one more likely because of the 2 umbral polarities. This one, I think, only has 1 umbral polarity. And let's move on to one more view here. Please bear with me. All right. And it's the 94 angstroms view. This is the other one that shows you 10 images per minute instead of only 2. I like the lovely spring-like green color, the lush green. You gotta love that. Now, they could make these into whatever color they want. Don't confuse this with the GOES X-ray imager. Not that you can see the GOES X-ray imager anyway. But let's do a little zoom here. This is a 48-hour SDO video, by the way, folks. Just zoom in a little bit here to get a little better view of those active regions, or the active region and the sunspot regions. Anyway, we're out. Thanks for tuning in. Don't forget to stare at the sun. Don't forget to attempt to understand the physics. Don't drink. If you do drink, don't drive. And since it'll never be now again, may that solar wind be at your back.